get my dibs in.
Okay, thank you. Right, question time. Keith.
I was going to make a comment about the confusion about fractional reserve being fraud and the goldsmith drawing up more bills than he had gold for. Some confusion I've encountered in a lot of people very commonly is some people think that fractional reserve lending means the banks lend out more than their deposits. In fact, fractional reserve lending is the lending of a fraction of the deposit. It's actually lending less, which is what these people think is automatically fraud, which it isn't. But there's that confusion. Are they lending 1,000% of their deposits, or are they lending 90% of their deposits? That's the level of ignorance that passes for economic wisdom going around the party circles nowadays.
You can lend 1,000 times your deposits legitimately by going to the lovely interbank market, as Northern Rock did. So even that isn't fraudulent.
No, they're saying that you take in $1 deposit.
Yeah, and create.
And you write out of thin air a check for $100 and lend it. What you're saying is, take in $1 deposit, you go to the interbank market and borrow 99 more. But they're saying that they're doing it without even the borrowing. So the confusion is just, for some reason, this is one of those issues that there's more confusion than understanding.
Excellent. Yeah. So, questions? Any questions? No questions? No questions. Okay.
Is anybody interested in the basis update?
Yes.
Hot off the presses in real time as soon as my screen refreshes. Okay. One second here. Okay. We ran this about 15 minutes ago.
So Keith has the link to the exchange, and he's calculating the basis for us in real time.
All right, so gold. April, the carry is minus 0.635%. The D carry, or actually the basis, the code basis is minus 0.2541%. So both the basis and the code basis is negative for April. For June, the basis is positive at 0.2837%. The code basis is negative at minus 0.45%. For December, the basis is positive at 0.46%. The code basis is negative at minus 0.52%. For silver, we have negative code basis in all 3 months. So we've got out of that backwardation. So March is minus 2.07% basis. Co-basis is minus 0.74%. May is minus 0.47% basis. Co-basis is minus 0.27%. December is minus 0.19 for the basis and minus 0.0237 for the co-basis. So there's no, between March, May, and December, there's no backwardation in silver.
Or gold.
Right, but there had not been any in gold.
No.
Silver there had been.
That's
so this was a change.
So this is a marginal change.
Yes.
As it's at 36, and it went up and came back down today, didn't it?
It's actually back up, so it's now 36.54. But I think this was run when it was a little bit lower. So it's now blown back up. If I ran it again, my guess would be that the blow back up was paper buying, speculators are trained to buy the dip. But maybe there's going to be a bigger dip in silver.
It could react sharply now, it seems. Again, silver down. Yeah.
Silver made a fantastic move, and it's ripe for.
So you've all been warned.
The ratio, by the way, is 39.3.
We haven't seen that number for a long time.
I've never seen that.
I think that's, I can pull that up and see how far back these signals are.
Yeah.
That might be decades.
Yeah. I think so.
Hold on a second. All right, let me pull up the monthly interval and see how far back this goes. Okay, it goes back to 97. Can you see that from here?
Yeah.
It is just a cascading down. It's a red candle after red candle in the last 4 or 5 months. We are lower than any monthly month of ours. Oh no, actually these are candlesticks that actually show the range within the month. We were low, the ratio was lower than any time going back to at least the last half of 1997, and maybe farther than that. I just don't have it on this chart.
Multi-decade low for the gold-silver ratio. Yeah.
1998.
Yeah.
Well, so the way the chart is showing, I'm not seeing that.
It's 38.30, that was the minimum, that was the low.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're matching 98, just about, we're just about touching that.
Okay.
We went below 40, was in 1983.
I think
Wow.
does anyone else have any questions yet? Thought of anything? No.
I'd like to ask you to make a few remarks about the bases and the co-bases. Now, you weren't here when Keith gave a very good summary, but I think we are still considered as beginners, so we can do with another view from you as very, very introductory.
Very introductory. Okay. I think Rudy.
I think for me the best introduction was when you put the 2 spot prices.
Yes. Okay.
And then showed how the lines can be drawn.
Right.
I think
Okay.
That's a graphic.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay. So basically, basis and co-basis. Let's just talk about one. Let's just talk about the concept of carrying. Carrying is something that a warehouseman does. And what they do is they buy spot, which means buying physical, the real good, and they will sell a future. Okay, so typically.
So, selling future means selling a contract calling for future delivery.
Yes. So yeah, it might be 3 months away from this date, from the date that you bought the spot part.
And the price is payable at delivery.
Price
right?
is payable at delivery, so you're locked in.
At the price which prevails at the time of delivery, right?
No. You fixed it. You fixed it now. So
Yeah.
so let's say you look at the spot market and you see silver is at. So you buy silver. Let's say we're talking about silver here. You buy it at $39 today, and you sell the future, and you see that the bid on the future is $41. Okay, so you're buying at 39, and you know that you will be selling it for 41 in 3 months' time. For 41. So you get a premium of $3. Yeah.
Looks like 2 to me.
A $2. $2. Okay. So the difference is $2. Okay. Now you're a warehouseman, so you are storing the physical silver until you have to deliver it in 3 months' time, and for that service that you're providing, you're getting paid a gross premium of $2. Okay, so that's your gross premium. Your net premium, you will deduct interest and insurance. Interest is negligible in this case, and you will find that, let's just say that the difference is still more or less $2, okay, 1.9. So this is a very easy business to do. You know, you buy. It doesn't. You don't. Silver isn't the only substance that you can do this in. You can do this in any substance that has a spot market and a futures market.
Contango, we call it.
And it's in contango. So that means that as long as the bid on the future is higher, sufficiently higher than the offer on the spot, then you can always do this kind of business as a warehouseman, and you will always be. It's very low risk as well. There's no chance of you defaulting, okay, because you've got the silver in a warehouse. Nothing is being done with it at the moment. Your future is for 3 months delivery. There's no chance up to the silver being stolen of you not being able to make good on your contract that you have to settle in 3 months' time. So when you can make a positive premium, this is known as contango. Now, contango, the whole theory behind this is that it's not theory. But the observation is that goods which have quickly declining marginal utility, which is basically everything apart from gold and silver, marginal utility quickly changing. This triangle means changing. Quickly declining marginal utility implies a low, does anyone know what I'm going to put here? Stocks to flow ratio. Okay. Basically, it means that a substance which has a very quickly declining marginal utility is not going to have collectively a very high stock level globally. Okay, this is a facet of its quickly declining marginal utility. So things which are in a, and think about this physically, things which are low stocks to flow. Okay, so you've got something like, think of platinum, 10 tons of stock, sitting in warehouses around the world, and the amount of platinum that's produced annually, you know, is about 10 to 15 times that. Okay, so platinum, so this is the stock, 10 tons of stock, and this is the annual primary production, and that's called flow. Is this all clear? So this platinum has a very quickly declining marginal utility, and as a consequence of that, it has a very low stocks to flow ratio. You divide stock by flow, and you get a very low number. Now, things which are in a low stocks to flow ratio tend to have a very, very unpredictable carry. Because someone might want this 10 tons of stock, in which case anybody that is holding platinum in warehouse form will suddenly be given a huge premium to unwind this carry. So this chap is sitting here and thinking, well, if I hold it to expiry, I'll get $2. Now suddenly, and I'm talking about platinum now, so I'm storing platinum. So suddenly, okay, I hold it to expiry, I'll get $2, but suddenly all of the platinum stock is taken. There's only 1 ton left. And the premium that I'm paid to unwind this position is normally negative. It only becomes 0 as you approach expiry. So that premium that you're paid to unwind it suddenly goes to $5, say. And if you close if you then go and sell your spot and buy back your future, you're actually being paid a huge premium for that, $5. Okay? Normally, you don't get paid any premium for that. So that this is all because platinum has a very low stocks to flow. Rudy.
So that means your physical price went way up and the futures price only went up a little bit.
Yeah.
Relative to each other.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're talking about substances here which are quickly declining marginal utility, of which all substances are apart from
Money.
yeah. Okay. So gold, we know, is slightly different to platinum, although people don't think that it is. Its stocks to flow is the other way around. So if you think about this total stock of gold, let's just say 200,000 tons. Now, annual primary production is 2,500 tons. Stock, and this is stock all the way from the most marketable forms, 400-ounce bars, say, although they're not that marketable, all the way up to, let's say, a gold chain. Now, to get from a gold chain to a gold bar can be done like that. You know, you take all of your stuff to a refiner, and he creates 400-ounce bars. Now, as an aside, this is gold. Every industrial commodity exists in a similar form to that, except it's not as compact to get from the top, the least marketable, to the most marketable. So something like copper, you might think, okay, so the copper bars are the most marketable here, and the least marketable form of copper might be copper in a computer or something like that. But you can still get from here to here, okay? It's just not as easy as from getting from here to here. So all of these idiots that say that industrial metals are consumed, they're not. They just exist in a state which means that they're not going to come to the market unless the price is much higher, okay? So back to gold. When you look at gold stock to flow, huge number, very, very huge number, 200 times plus. Not on those numbers, but that's roughly what we think it is, 200 times plus. Now, because of that, gold should never be in a situation which isn't contango, basically. Because you have to think about it the other way. You have to say, well, if it's not in contango, it basically implies that this isn't true. You know, that it doesn't have a large stock. Or it does have a large stock, but people are not willing to sell it or lend it for some particular reason. Okay?
Even if they're offered a very high premium.
Even if they're offered.
They don't look at it. It's like seeing $100 bill on the sidewalk and just say, I'm not going to touch that.
I'm not going to touch it, you know, which is strange, you know. So the question then becomes, when I first started to think about this in 2004, when I first started reading Professor, I just graduated from university, they said, my elders said, gold will never go into backwardation because of this. Okay. And I said, well, that's not really the point that one should be considering. The point to be considering is what does it imply if it does go into backwardation for a reason that's not obvious, like Buffett buying half the gold in the world or something like that. You know. And they couldn't really come up with an answer for that. So the question then becomes is, what does it mean if gold goes into backwardation? What does it mean if you're paid a huge premium to unwind your carry as a warehouseman? Okay, so you sat there and you got the $1 premium to carry, but suddenly the gold market says we'll give you $5. It's never been that high yet, but $5 to unwind your carry. Being paid for that. Now, if I didn't know any better, I would take that. Because what I would do is, A, if I was carrying it, it means I've got gold in my warehouse, I've sold a future, so I can sell the gold, buy back my future and get $5. But what about the person, so you would think that that might be enough to make it go away. And it might not. Now that is obviously, there is only a finite amount of gold from that perspective that someone can do that trade with, because not all gold in the world is carried in the sense of bought and sold forward. Most of gold exists in gold chain, gold bars, gold jewelry, etc. So there is another profit that someone can make if they have gold and they're not a warehouseman, do they just own large amounts of gold. They can go to the spot market and sell it for 1,005, say, and replace it with a future for 1,000. So they're selling their gold for 1,005, buying a future for 1,000, and in 3 months' time, the future will expire. You will get your gold back, plus $5. The same premium that someone was paid. So again, if I had a large amount of gold and I didn't know any better, I would take that. I would take that. Because I have no question marks over the legitimacy of the COMEX exchange.
Looks like a risk-free profit.
It's a risk-free profit.
But only
if the future delivers on the gold. Okay. Now, this is something that I'm going to go into in my talk tomorrow. But just like you have the concept of borrowing short to lend long, I haven't talked about it here, but the warehouseman, when he buys gold and sells it 3 months later, he can actually and perfectly legitimately lend it out for 3 months minus 1 day. So he's getting a little extra premium. The gold isn't just sitting there. He's lent it out for a shorter duration than when he has to deliver it for. And everything is legitimate, okay? Can anyone think of how this could be, how the warehouseman could start behaving illegitimately with lending gold?
Lending it out for a longer period.
Lending it out for a longer period, okay? So this is, I'm not going to steal my own thunder from tomorrow, but basically you have a symmetrical analogy in the futures market between borrowing short and lending long, and a similar thing happening in the futures market. Now, what's happened typically in the past is that the backwardation has been there and then it's gone away, like it's gone away now. you know, in silver. Someone has taken it. And don't forget
Somebody's taking profits.
Someone is, profit inverted commas, you know. Someone is out there selling physical silver and replacing it with the future in the expectation that when that future expires, they'll get their gold and silver.
The temptation became too irresistible.
It became too irresistible. Far, far too irresistible. Now, whether it was a warehouseman that did it or someone who just had silver and did it is neither here nor there. Someone took it, okay? So, I'm not going to go any further, but this is the basic introduction to basis and the dual, its co-basis.
You haven't mentioned co-basis.
Co-basis is basically this premium that you're paid to unwind your...
when you unwind,
then you refer to the co-basis. It's just like if you buy a stock at the ask and you want to turn around and sell it straight away, you have to refer to the bid. In the same way, if you've carried something, if you're carrying something, you refer to the basis. So when I was carrying here, this is equivalent to the basis. And the premium that you're paid, which isn't normally a premium, to unwind that is called the co-basis. And the analogy again is with bid and offer, as Menger noted and developed so much. So again, when you read stuff about backwardation and contango in literature that isn't related to us in any way whatsoever, they overlook the fact that there are two things to consider, not just one. I mean, they will look at, in order to calculate what they think is the basis, they will look at the mid-prices of various things and look at the differences of mid-prices. So they're looking at the difference of prices which don't exist, you know, only theoretically exist, and they're coming to conclusions. And some will say, well, you might be splitting hairs with this kind of analysis, but it's not. That's like saying that Menger is splitting hairs by looking at the difference between the bid and the offer. You know, the difference between the bid and the offer and what forms them are two different processes, full stop, you know. There isn't, and neoclassical economics, what do? They assume that there is just a price P, okay, and then the bid is just that minus a little bit and then that plus a little bit, you know. They don't realize that there are actually two different formations that get that thing called the spread, the bid-offer spread. So that's the short introduction to basis and contango, and I'll talk a bit more about that tomorrow afternoon after my misconceptions of the gold standard speech.
Now, backwardation as far as gold and silver are concerned are the abnormal, and contango is the normal. And what backwardation means is a shortage of the deliverable metal. We know lots of gold exists, but they are not deliverable, either because the owner refuses, even if tempted by a very high price. He says, no, I don't trust the market because my future is, my paper gold, in other words, is not going to be convertible into physical gold at the time when the maturity. And there have been tricks like that in the exchanges, New York, Chicago, and so on. They have changed the rules. While the game was going on, they changed the rules.
Yeah.
And the house will never lose, because the house, the bank, calls the shots. They have the right to change the rules. The game is not over yet. You have a stake, and you think you are winning, and then, bingo, the rules are changed on you, and you become a loser. That's happened to the Hunt brothers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sandeep, and we are looking forward to your presentation
Thanks
tomorrow.
very much, Professor. I think. Right. So I think we'll adjourn for today and see you all tomorrow 9:30.